Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the most dangerous move you can make in life is telling the wrong people what you're about to do? Because the moment you open your mouth, opinions walk in, doubt walks in, jealousy takes a seat right next to your dream and starts whispering, "You sure about that?" See, nobody tells you this growing up, but silence is not empty. It's loaded with focus, loaded with discipline, loaded with power. There comes a season in your life where explaining yourself becomes a distraction, where talking too much costs you momentum, where the smartest thing you can do is shut up, lock in, and work. Everybody wants to be seen, but very few people are willing to be disciplined when nobody is watching. Everybody wants applause, but almost nobody wants the isolation that greatness demands. Here's the cold truth. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they lack talent. It's because they leak their energy everywhere. They talk about plans they haven't finished. They seek validation before they've earned results. They argue with people who were never assigned to understand them. And while they're busy explaining, someone else is silently building. See, real growth happens when you stop announcing your moves, when you stop fighting for attention, when you decide that your future deserves privacy. Because the loudest person in the room is usually the most insecure and the quietest one. They're usually the one about to change everything. So if you're in a season where you feel misunderstood, if you're tired of being doubted, if you're working in silence and wondering if it's even worth it, listen closely. This message is for you. Silence has been misunderstood for a long time. People think if you're quiet, you're losing. They think if you don't respond, you're scared. They think if you don't announce your plans, you don't have any. But the truth is, this silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And once you understand that, the way you move in life completely changes. See, weak people talk to feel important. Strong people move in silence because they already know where they're going. When you are silent, you are protecting something valuable. You are protecting your focus, your energy, your direction. Every time you speak, you invite opinions. And most opinions don't build you, they drain you. People project their fears onto your future. They tell you what didn't work for them and expect it not to work for you either. Silence keeps that noise out. There's a reason real players don't reveal their next move. In chess, you don't warn your opponent before you strike. In life, it's the same way. When you tell everyone your plans, you give them access to your momentum. Some will doubt you. Some will discourage you. Some will secretly hope you fail, not because you're wrong, but because your growth reminds them of what they didn't do. Silence removes their influence. Silence also keeps you disciplined. When you announce goals too early, your brain gets a reward before the work is done. You feel accomplished just for talking, and that kills the hunger. But when you stay quiet, the only reward you get is progress. You wake up knowing the work still has to be done. You grind when nobody is clapping. You push when nobody is watching. That's how real confidence is built, not from likes, not from praise, but from keeping promises to yourself in private. Let me tell you something else. Silence teaches emotional control. When someone disrespects you, doubts you, or misunderstands you, the ego wants to react. It wants to explain, it wants to defend. But strategy says, let them talk, because reacting emotionally gives people power over you. Silence keeps you in control. You don't waste energy arguing with people who won't be around for your success anyway. You let time and results do the explaining. Some of the most powerful moments in life happen when you don't say a word, when you walk away instead of fighting, when you keep building instead of responding, when you stop trying to prove who you are and start showing it through action. Silence makes people underestimate you, and that's an advantage. When people don't see you coming, you have room to grow without pressure. And understand this, silence is not hiding. It's preparation. It's loading the weapon. It's sharpening the blade. It's getting better while everyone else is busy talking about getting better. While they're posting, you're practicing. While they're announcing, you're advancing. And when the results finally show up, they'll swear it happened overnight. They won't see the nights you stayed quiet and kept going. Silence also protects your peace. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every comment deserves a response. Peace is expensive, and silence is how you pay for it. The more you talk, the more you expose yourself to stress, comparison, and unnecessary drama. But when you move quietly, you stay centered. You stay focused. You stay locked in on your mission. At some point, you have to realize that explaining yourself doesn't change people's minds. Success does. People don't respect talk. They respect consistency. They don't believe words. They believe patterns. Silence allows your pattern to form. It allows your work ethic to speak. It allows your growth to become undeniable. So if you're quiet right now, don't mistake that for being behind. You might actually be ahead. If you're not responding, not posting, not announcing, not arguing, you're not losing. You're strategizing. You're becoming dangerous in the best way possible. Stay silent. Stay focused. Keep working. And when the time comes, let your results introduce you. Focus is one of the rarest skills in the world today. And that's exactly why it's so valuable. Everybody wants success, but very few people are willing to give their full attention to one thing long enough to earn it. Success doesn't go to the most talented, the loudest, or the most popular. It goes to the most focused. Focus is the currency of success, and the more you invest it wisely, the richer your life becomes. Look around you. Distractions are everywhere. Notifications, opinions, comparisons, trends, shortcuts, drama. All of it is designed to pull you away from your purpose. Every time your focus shifts, your energy splits. And when your energy is split, your progress slows down. You can't build something meaningful while constantly reacting to everything around you. The people who win are the ones who can sit in silence, block out the noise, and work on what actually matters. Focus is about deciding what deserves your attention and what doesn't. That's a hard decision because everything feels urgent. Everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody wants a response. Everybody wants you to look at what they're doing. But your future doesn't care about what's trending. It cares about what you're building. When you focus on yourself, you stop running other people's races. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's highlight reel. You start measuring it against who you were yesterday. The truth is you don't lack motivation, you lack direction. Focus gives your effort a target. Without focus, you're busy but not productive. You're moving but not advancing. You're tired but not fulfilled. Focus turns effort into results. It aligns your actions with your goals. It keeps you from quitting when things get boring, repetitive, or uncomfortable. Because real growth isn't exciting, it's discipline. People underestimate how powerful consistency becomes when combined with focus. Doing one thing well every day over a long period of time will outperform random effort every single time. But consistency is impossible without focus. You can't commit to a routine if you're constantly distracted. You can't master a skill if your attention is always somewhere else. Focus is what allows you to stay in the process long enough to become exceptional. Another thing nobody talks about is this: focus requires sacrifice. You can't say yes to everything and still expect to win. Focus means saying no to comfort, no to distractions, no to people who don't support your growth. It means missing out on some fun today so you can enjoy freedom tomorrow. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they refuse to let go of what's holding them back. Focus also builds confidence. When you concentrate on improving yourself, instead of comparing yourself, you start seeing real progress. And progress creates belief. You trust yourself more because you see yourself showing up. You stop looking for validation because your work proves who you are. Focus quiets self-doubt because it replaces overthinking with action. And understand this, focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing less better. It's about identifying the one or two things that actually move the needle and giving them your best energy. Most people waste years chasing 10 different goals and end up mastering none. Focus is what separates the amateurs from the professionals. The ones who win don't do everything. They do the right thing consistently. Focus also protects your mental health. When your attention is everywhere, your mind is restless. When your attention is disciplined, your mind becomes calm. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you know exactly what you need to do next. One step, one task, one day at a time. Focus turns chaos into clarity. Here's the hard truth. Nobody is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you discipline. No one is going to protect your focus for you. You have to do that yourself. You have to choose your future over distractions. You have to guard your time like your life depends on it, because it does. If you want a different life, you need a different level of focus. You need to stop giving your best energy to things that don't build your future. Lock in. Stay patient. Stay disciplined. Because when you focus long enough, hard enough, and consistently enough, success has no choice but to follow. One of the hardest lessons you will ever learn in life is this: everyone will not understand your journey, and they don't need to. That truth can be uncomfortable, especially when you're a good person, when you explain yourself naturally, when you want people to see your heart and understand your intentions. But growth requires you to accept that misunderstanding is part of the process. In fact, it's often proof that you're moving in the right direction. Your journey was designed specifically for you. Your experiences, your struggles, your timing, your lessons, none of that was meant to be universal. So when people look at your life and question your decisions, it's not because you're wrong. It's because they're viewing your path through their own limitations. They measure your choices against what they would do, not what you are called to do. And that's where frustration comes from, expecting people to understand something they were never meant to walk through. The problem starts when you begin to explain yourself to everyone. Every explanation costs you energy. Every defense weakens your confidence. When you try to make people understand your vision, you slowly hand them control over how you feel about it. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fears become your hesitation. And suddenly the dream that once excited you starts to feel heavy. Not because it's wrong, but because you invited the wrong voices into the room. You have to understand that people only understand things at the level they've experienced. Someone who has never taken a risk will never fully understand why you're willing to fail. Someone who has never dreamed big will never understand why you're not satisfied with average. Someone who has never outgrown their environment will never understand why you had to leave. And that's okay. It's not their job to understand. It's your job to move forward anyway. There will be seasons where you feel lonely because the path you're on doesn't have much company. When you start changing, your circle gets smaller. Conversations feel different. Priorities shift. And people may say you've changed like it's a bad thing. But change is the evidence of growth. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You came this far to evolve. Here's the truth most people don't want to accept. Some people benefit from you staying where you are. Your growth makes them uncomfortable. Your ambition reminds them of what they avoided. Your discipline exposes their excuses. So instead of supporting you, they question you. Instead of believing in you, they try to pull you back to what's familiar. Not because they hate you, but because they're afraid of being left behind. You don't need to fight that. You don't need to explain that. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. When you know who you are and where you're going, silence becomes your shield. You let people think what they want while you keep building. You stop asking for permission to become better. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. And let me tell you something freeing. Understanding is not a requirement for support. Real support doesn't need constant explanation. The people meant to be in your life will trust your process. Even if they don't fully get it, they'll see your effort. They'll respect your consistency. And they'll stand with you quietly while the results take time to show. At some point, you have to decide whose opinion matters more than your futures. Because every time you choose to slow down, settle, or quit just to be understood, you trade your potential for approval. And approval doesn't build a life you're proud of. Purpose does. So if you're misunderstood right now, don't panic. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're just early. Stay committed. Stay patient. Stay moving. One day, the same people who questioned your journey will call it destiny. And by then, you won't need their understanding because you'll be too busy living the life you stayed true to. There is a level of freedom that comes when you stop performing for people and start building for yourself. When you learn to work in private, you take your power back. You stop chasing attention and start chasing progress. And that shift changes everything because real success doesn't need an announcement. it makes one on its own. Most people want recognition before results. They want applause during the struggle. They want praise while they're still preparing. But preparation is quiet. Growth is lonely. And mastery happens when nobody is watching. The problem with working publicly is that it creates pressure to look successful instead of becoming successful. When you work in private, you remove that pressure. You give yourself permission to be imperfect while you're learning. Working in private keeps your focus clean. When nobody knows your next move, there's no noise around it, no opinions, no doubts, no unnecessary expectations. You don't wake up worried about proving something to someone else. You wake up focused on getting better than you were yesterday. That kind of mindset is dangerous in the best way, because now your energy is going into the work, not the image. There's also something powerful about not being applauded too early. Early praise can be a trap. It makes you comfortable before you're consistent. It rewards potential instead of performance. But when you work in private, the only thing that keeps you going is discipline. And discipline builds character. It teaches you how to show up even when motivation disappears. It teaches you how to keep promises to yourself without an audience. Let's be honest, most people don't actually want to see the process. They want the outcome. They want the finished product. They want the success story, not the sacrifice. So when you work quietly, you're not hiding, you're respecting the process. You're allowing yourself to grow without being judged at every stage. You're giving yourself the space to fail, adjust, and improve without explanation. And here's the thing about results. They're undeniable. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to explain them. You don't have to defend them. Results shut down doubt faster than words ever could. When the work is real, the outcome speaks in a language everybody understands. That's why it's better to let your success introduce you instead of introducing your success. Working in private also protects you from comparison. When you're constantly sharing, you start measuring your progress against others. You rush your timeline. You second guess your pace. But when you stay in your own lane, you move at the speed that's right for you. You stop worrying about who's ahead and start focusing on where you're going. That's how long-term success is built. Not through competition, but through consistency. Another truth people don't like to hear is this: not everyone wants you to win. Some people smile while secretly hoping you stay the same. When you announce your goals too early, you invite that energy into your space. But when you work in private, you deny negativity access. You build quietly, safely, and steadily. And by the time people notice, it's already too late to stop you. Results also carry a different weight when they come from private work. They're not inflated. They're not exaggerated. They're earned. And earned success lasts longer because it's built on solid habits, not hype. When you've struggled in silence, you appreciate the outcome more. You move differently. You stay humble. You stay hungry. You don't need validation because you know what it took to get there. So if right now it feels like nobody sees your effort, don't get discouraged. That's often a sign you're doing it right. You're in the phase where foundations are being laid, where discipline is being formed, where character is being tested. Stay there, keep going. Because one day the work you did in private will speak so loudly that no introduction will be necessary. There are no shortcuts that last. No secret formulas that work forever. No overnight success stories that don't hide years of struggle behind them. When everything is stripped away, success always comes down to three things: discipline, patience, and faith. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. These three win every time because they keep you standing when everything else falls apart. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's waking up tired and showing up anyway. It's staying committed when nobody is watching and nobody is clapping. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Discipline is a decision. And the people who win aren't always the most excited. They're the most consistent. They don't wait to feel ready. They move because the work demands it. Discipline is what separates dreams from delusion. Everyone has ideas. Everyone talks about what they want. But discipline turns intention into action. It creates structure. It builds habits. It forces you to confront yourself every day. When you choose discipline, you stop negotiating with your comfort zone. You stop letting excuses run your life. You begin to understand that progress doesn't come from intensity once in a while, but from commitment every single day. But discipline alone isn't enough, because results don't always show up immediately. That's where patience comes in. Patience is trusting the process even when you can't see progress. It's continuing to work when the results are delayed. It's understanding that growth takes time, and rushing it often destroys it. Most people quit not because they can't do it, but because they can't wait. Patience teaches you endurance. It reminds you that real change happens slowly, quietly, and over time. Just because something isn't happening fast doesn't mean it's not happening at all. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. And if you dig them up every day to check, you kill the growth. Patience is learning to water the soil and trust what you can't see yet. Then there's faith, the most powerful of the three. Faith is believing in yourself when there's no evidence yet. It's continuing to move forward when logic tells you to stop. It's trusting that your effort matters, even when life doesn't give you immediate feedback. Faith doesn't mean you won't doubt. It means you move anyway. Faith is what keeps you going when discipline feels heavy and patience feels exhausting. It's what allows you to endure rejection without losing belief. It's what helps you stay focused when the outcome is uncertain. Faith is not blind optimism, it's quiet confidence. It's knowing that if you keep showing up, something has to change. The real power happens when these three work together. Discipline gives you the structure to act. Patience gives you the strength to wait. Faith gives you the courage to continue. Without discipline, faith becomes wishful thinking. Without patience, discipline becomes burnout. Without faith, both become unbearable. Life will test all three. There will be days when you don't see results, days when you feel behind, days when nothing seems to be working. Those are the moments that decide everything. Not the good days, not the wins, but the days where quitting feels logical. That's when discipline says, show up. Patience says, stay. Faith says, keep going. And here's the truth. People will doubt you during this phase. They'll question why you're still trying, why you're not there yet, why you haven't given up. But they don't see what's being built inside you. They don't see the strength, the resilience, the character. And when success finally comes, they'll call it luck. They won't understand that it was discipline, patience, and faith working quietly over time. If you're tired right now, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're in the process. If progress feels slow, that doesn't mean it's not real. And if doubt shows up, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you care. Stay disciplined. Keep the faith. Because these three don't lose. Not sometimes. Not most of the time. Every time. Let this be the moment you stop looking outside for confirmation and start standing firm in who you're becoming. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need to be understood. Everything you need is already inside you. It just needs time, discipline, and focus to come alive. Stay silent when the noise tries to pull you off track. Stay focused when distractions beg for your attention. Stay disciplined when motivation fades. Stay patient when results take longer than expected. And keep your faith when the path gets lonely. Because the truth is, the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards persistence. It doesn't respect talk. It respects consistency. And it doesn't celebrate dreams. It celebrates results. One day, the same silence you're living in right now will confuse people. They'll wonder how it happened so fast. They'll call it luck, timing, or destiny. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it was the nights you stayed focused, the days you stayed disciplined, the moments you stayed silent when quitting would have been easier. So keep going. Keep building. Keep believing. Let your growth be quiet. Let your work be private. And when the time comes, let your results speak so loudly that nothing else needs to be said.